wasted. My name is Talia.
And I'm Christy.
And I'm
Do I talk now? I'm Lucas.
And I'm Adam. Hey, what's up? Ooh, I faded to myself. That shouldn't have happened. All right, back to you guys.
Okay, sorry, we are going to start, but I just got really excited because we have a YouTube comment from Abigail saying, heard about this at Dragon Con in ATL and super pumped. Hello, welcome. I hope that you are one of the people we gave a fan to, and now you're a fan.
We had a lot of fans in Atlanta.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hi, Misty. Hi, Mike. Hi, Megan. Hi, Mike again. Hi,
Trish,
Giggles Vids.
Bear,
Where are the
Jay.
Facebook comments?
Okay, so we're gonna do something a little different on this one. We got it working. So if you're watching on Facebook, we've connected the live stream to Facebook. So we're gonna take some of your comments and we're gonna actually display them on the screen.
So like right now, I see Abbott Jones.
So say
everyone
good things.
feeling extraordinary tonight? I am Abbott. Thank you, and I hope you are doing fine as well.
Oh, there. That's better. Yeah. Hi, sorry, I was trying to find all your comments, but now I found them. Hello,
all right,
everybody.
So y'all want to talk about Vicious?
Let's talk about Vicious.
Yeah, I got a recap.
Yes, please.
Yeah, last time.
For all
Vicious.
the people who read ahead, and there are a bunch of you, or for the people who gave up and didn't want to read this book, we're just going to tell you what happened.
Yeah. So in the first half of the book, the recap. Eli and Victor both have near-death experiences and got extraordinary powers. Extraordinary. What'd I say?
I don't know.
Victor accidentally killed Angie after he came back. Eli called 911 and turned Victor in. Victor got arrested, made some bad decisions that enabled him to escape. He went after Eli and stabbed him. Eli shot Victor 3 times. Victor passed out and got arrested. He spent 10 years in jail, 5 of those being in isolation until he convinced the jail that he's not extraordinary. And then he breaks out of jail with his hacker buddy Mitch. Picked up 12-year-old hitchhiking Sydney, who was shot by Eli like 2 days before. They are all now in the same city as Eli. Eli is probably with Sydney's older sister, Serena. Eli seems to be on a mission from God to kill all the other EOs, and he is probably using Serena to that end. Serena has just moved out of her apartment but showed up at class yesterday. Victor and Sydney dug up and resurrected one of Eli's latest targets, Barry Lynch. That was the bank robbery thing, and so that they can use him to get to Eli. After being resurrected, Barry complains that his extraordinary power didn't come back fully, and Barry is spending the night back in his coffin.
Dun dun dun.
That's like everything that happened in the first half of the book. I just spoiled the whole thing for you.
Boom.
But I mean, you're here, so...
Yeah, so we're not talking about anything else but those things.
Yes. So if you read past that, don't type it.
Yeah.
That poops on it for everybody. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what do we talk about? First impressions?
Yeah, just overall, how do you like the book? What do you think?
Okay.
It's a heavy pause.
You can even check the comments on the screen there.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, hi Dan, says, have I missed an explanation of why Mitch goes along with all of this, or is he really just complacent? Actually, I think that is mentioned in the book, isn't it? That he, Victor has an effect on people, right?
He doesn't have that kind of effect. Well, I mean, he can make it pleasant to be around. He can make people feel good, but he can't, control them. So maybe there's something there.
I mean, maybe he just found him handy. I mean, a hacker guy on the outside,
No,
that's
we know
giant.
why Victor likes Mitch. Why does Mitch like Victor? See, I don't
know.
Maybe he has some, old people pains and, Victor's taking them away.
Justin Schwartz says, I am reveling in the plethora of moral ambiguity of the first half.
You're
some good
using a lot
work.
of 25-cent words there.
Thanks for that.
Yes, and Vicky just made a good point. He wanted out of jail. Yeah. I mean,
well,
yeah.
What kind of sentence does hacking have? Because
he must have.
I mean, he sounds like he's able to hack like everything.
Yeah,
so I mean, he could have.
Cynthia says, I think Mitch's story might be further explained later in the book, right? That's a really good point. We are only halfway there. So there's half of the things that we don't know.
The first book of 2 and 3 planned?
We don't know for sure that it's someone else might know. I don't know for sure that it's a continuation of the exact same story, or if it might be like Hugh Howey's, they just all happen to be in the same universe.
Gotcha.
I don't know. If you know, tell us. But
without
not if
spoiling
it's a spoiler.
it.
If it's a spoiler, then don't tell us, and we'll figure it out later. Okay, first impressions. Wait, just kidding. Nicole says, I really struggled to figure out if there was a good guy in the story. That's a good point. Well, the name of this series is Villains, so my first inclination is nah. But
But no, I mean, she writes it in a way that it's ambiguous. Who is good and who is bad? And
it says in the very beginning of the book that this is not the good guy versus the bad guy, that the world isn't good versus evil, that it's bad versus worse.
that's a good point.
And honestly, that's something I like about it. I know there have been a lot of comments about how, yes, there's all this moral gray area because there is no clear good guy, and a lot of the things that we usually associate with characteristics of the good guy and characteristics of the bad guy are kind of flipped, and that's honestly a point that I'm really enjoying in the book. Something I'm not enjoying in the book is, we were talking about this earlier, I feel like the night circus, we all talked about how it was so much atmosphere, so much wonderful detail, a lot of fluff and very little plot. And I feel like Vicious is the opposite. It's a whole lot of plot and none of the fluff. There's no fluff. There's nothing except the plot stating the facts of what's happening in the story. That's it. And I'll be quiet now, and Christy, you can talk. How do you feel about Vicious? Because I know you were super excited to read this one.
Yeah, I've been wanting to read this for a long time, and I was really, really excited to read it. I'm really enjoying the story. I think the storyline is really interesting, although she's going really fast through it, which I'm not really appreciating. And there's obviously some character development that I think we're all missing. But I'm still enjoying it. I do have a lot of issues, though, with the first half of the book.
Yay, can't wait to dig
But
into
we
those.
can go into that later.
I appreciated after the night circus how quickly it went. Like I felt accomplished. I was like, I read a chapter. And then by the end of the first half, I was like, oh, there's like 67 chapters. Not that many, but I mean, it was like I was on 37 or something by the end of it. So I did appreciate how it was cut and dry, but to your point, Christy, at some points it was like maybe too cut and dry. Like I remember one part towards the end where they went to the apartment to go find Serena, right? And they got out of the car and it was just like bam, 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 and I was like, whoa, she wasted zero time getting through any of that, and that's how a lot of the first half was. But I think I appreciated it after the night circus just because I really struggled with the night circus. I enjoyed it in the end, but I think this is a good. I think Scott and I were kind of talking before. He said it's either like a cheeseburger read, or for me it'd be a great beach read, just because it does move so quickly. But I think overall I'm enjoying it. I do think it would, and maybe it has been translated into a graphic novel. Maybe I could see it definitely be a graphic novel because it's, and I think that's referenced a few times because it clips right along. But it is good because I mean I saw Matt had up on the screen. Which team are you, Eli or Victor? You struggle. You kind of go in a wave. Well, yeah, Eli. I'm on Team Sydney right now. I'm at the halfway point. I don't know.
Really
Things
like
could
Mitch.
change. Oh, I like Mitch too. Mitch is cool.
Okay, Adam.
So, yeah, no, I liked it. I agree with everybody that said that it moved really fast. There's no fat in this book, which is, in some ways it's good. But and Christy and I talk a lot about this, but I think that there are some parts that escalate really quickly for me that like leapfrogged what I feel are like necessary story beats or character development beats.
I could agree with that.
Things that just like you went from like A to Z, like from 0 to 50 in like a chapter, basically. It's like, they have this idea and they're like, let's experiment on killing each other and maybe they'll get superhuman powers. And the next thing you know, like they're having this like stabby like kill fight, shooting 3 times after he kills Angie with his special electro powers or whatever those are. It just goes from like 0 to 60 in like no time, which caught me by surprise. But I do like I appreciate the pace, and I think we've all remarked that this is a super fast read. Like it like went by really fast for me, and I'm not a fast reader or anything. But yeah, those are my impressions. I'll be brief.
So Misty on YouTube just pointed out, she said V.E. Schwab said that she isn't sure whether or not there will be a third book. So I wonder if that has changed. Someone Google it. Someone Google it and double check and let us know before I start the second book. All right.
Is that going to change your mind?
No, but I would just want to know. Abbott says, does Sydney know what Serena's gift is? Serena has used her gift on Sydney before, obviously, but is Sydney aware of that? That's a really good point, and I don't know.
So, I mean, she has it's like the power of persuasion, right? I mean,
Yeah,
basically
except
it's
it seems like mandatory. It
Right.
seems a lot less like persuasion and a lot more like just do what I said.
right.
Well, some people were talking in the comments about this, and they were kind of thinking that Sydney does not know, and she's not even sure if Serena has a power yet. But, I mean, we know that she's used it on her a couple of times.
And she used it on like her parents and other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Eli is keeping her around and utilizing her
Yeah,
is
so
because of this ability.
He's like a collector, right?
Gross.
It's kind of like
Well,
Magneto.
no, except the ones that he doesn't like.
Well, I think Eli is using Serena until she's no longer useful, and then I think he's going to get rid of her as
Like
well.
Magneto.
I get that vibe too.
Yeah.
Kristen says, was anyone else worried they were going to resurrect Angie? I was like, phew. Sorry, I tried to read that with emphasis.
Some people were wondering, like, is it even possible? Because it's been 10 years.
So
Yeah.
she could go like resurrect Abraham Lincoln.
I feel like Sydney has that power, though, because not only does she resurrect, but she also heals.
Right.
Yeah, it's not zombieism, which,
Yeah.
by the way, when it got to that point, when we discovered what her ability was, I almost closed the book because I cannot handle zombies or anything like reanimating nope. And I almost was like, no, is that what we picked? And then it was okay because she was like, oh, it just turns them back and it's their second chance at life or whatever. And also
Lillian
the,
says
like, the
resurrecting
doggy.
Angie would go into zombie mode.
I don't know. I mean, if it's not her second chance.
I mean,
I don't know.
I feel like Sydney's powers would work, probably. I mean, we have a whole half of a book. Maybe we'll find out.
Melissa says, wouldn't Serena be able to use her gift on Eli? Victor was able to use his on Eli. That's a good point. Why hasn't she?
Because he's hot or something. I don't know.
She
He's
did.
creepy.
She
is
did
creepy.
tell him to stop when he was about to kill Sydney.
Yeah, it was a little too late. It was a little too late for that. But
Yeah.
you could tell that she had like a change of heart, like right at the last second, and by then he had already like pulled the trigger.
Is anybody else creeped out about the fact that he is getting older, does not look like it, but he actually is getting older? He's still dating a college girl.
So I had one question that so Sydney,
Weird.
so she's obviously like shot in the arm, right? Did she get medical attention or is she just like walking around with a hole in her arm?
Victor.
But he took the pain away.
No, but he also, remember, he was pre-med, so he was a pre-med student.
So
he
he bandaged her up. Maybe I just
Yeah.
kind of maybe
just-
she
it
wrote
was
that in like
one
a half
sentence
sentence.
of like he used
Yeah.
his medical knowledge to help.
So
him
let's
and-
talk about. I want the thesis. Like they're going around the class and they're like, "Yes, I'm going to talk about the astrological blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Where is this school where
This is
these
very,
kids
very
are?"
pompous. Not
they
pompous,
they were
that's
talking
not
about
nice.
some.
A very fancy pants.
It was like
school.
MIT times 2, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm going to talk about all this." I was like, "Whatever, man."
Wait, you were gonna say something?
I was gonna go back to Sydney actually. Like, is she dead? Is
That's
she
what-
a zombie?
She
No.
wrote it. It sounded like
Are
that.
you sure? Because
She died, but they all died. Okay, because that bugged me at first too. Because I was like, if she's dead, then I don't want to read about her anymore. I don't think she's
Okay.
dead. I don't want to.
I don't
she's
think
dead.
you can participate in
Agreed.
this
I
part of the
don't. I
conversation.
also don't think
No,
she's
she's
dead.
dead.
I think that she died like everybody else
Yes.
died, and that's what she was referring to.
Yes.
Like the moment when I
But
died.
her
She has
body
not, like-
temperature has not risen to normal,
that's-
and her
What the hell?
pulse is really low.
That's her special ability. Her extraordinary. No,
Kind of
she's
feel
not
like
a
she
zombie.
might be
Christy.
dead.
There's no zombies.
Oh,
in this
also
book.
it mentioned her hair and her nails are growing at a steady pace, just like a corpse.
Because she's frozen.
Because she
no,
is
corpses
dead.
don't grow.
No,
okay.
they don't grow, but they do like have things. Yeah, see?
Fingernails keep growing.
I got agreement.
Ew, what?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
What?
Yeah, and hair.
Yeah.
They still grow after you die?
Yeah.
a little while.
Yeah.
How?
Guys, I kind of feel like Sydney's dead.
Ew.
Yeah, it makes it work.
She
Are
might.
you gonna read the second book now?
So it's a zombie. It's a zombie villain. Then is the
But
heroine.
she's a hero. Yeah. That's gotta change some things.
I don't care about her weight. I just didn't realize that they kept growing after you die. Ew. Somebody talk about something else. Lisa says Sydney and Serena both fall into the ice and die. Yes, so they died, and Eli died, and Victor died, and Barry, what's his
Barry.
name? Barry died. All of these people
Yeah.
died, but they came back. That's the point. They weren't like dead. They were like
Except that
flatlined.
Sydney is still dead.
So
No,
Sydney should go
she's not
resurrect
dead.
all those ones that had the X's on them, and they
Oh,
should get
but
an
what if she
army
do it?
together.
We should do a poll.
What if
Oh,
she can't?
a poll?
Because
Do a
of her
poll.
Is
Oh,
Sydney
power.
dead or not? All right.
What if her power?
Okay, here comes the poll.
Oh my
Let's see
gosh.
what happens.
Stop it. I have a point.
Okay.
Okay, what
right,
if
keep
her
going.
poll is not that she brings people back to life? She says that her, what was I talking about? She says her power is that she gives people a second chance at life. So if these, we're just saying, if that is her power, is that she gives people a second chance, that means she can't do it for EOs. Maybe that's why it doesn't work right, because an EO has already died.
They
They're
had-
back,
well,
so
and
they are
she
already
said-
on their second chance.
She did say that. Yeah.
Yeah, she said they already
And
had.
maybe
Now-
that's why it's Wonkadoo, is because she can't bring them back right a third time.
So she said it was like a thread, and she could barely
Yeah, it wasn't.
like
she
hold
couldn't
on to
hold
the
to
thread,
it.
right?
Now, Abbott Jones asked, can Sydney create EOs? Like, can Victor use her to create a bunch of EOs to take down Eli?
No. I don't want to believe that.
Why?
I was not asked to defend my answer. I just what do I think? I don't think so, because she doesn't. It's
I mean, I agree
No.
with you. I don't think she can either, because it's supposed to be a near-death experience. Like, there's supposed to be that
yes.
struggling back for life.
The
and
adrenaline was key.
Yeah.
So if they just,
But I think it's a really interesting.
oh my God, would that mean the doggy is an EO doggy?
Well, I think we just established that. No.
I know, but it could have been
Yes.
an EO doggy.
Yeah.
That would
What's
have
this?
been cool.
What's not Jewel? What's his name?
It's
Dole.
Dole. Yeah.
Is he like doling out
Not a
an
great
ounce
name
of pain?
for a dog.
Okay, there should be a poll up now.
Yay.
Matt says Sydney can't control the method of death, which is part of creating EOs.
Hmm.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Did anyone get a Deadpool vibe from the bathtub? Like when Eli.
what?
So like create.
Oh, when he's in the oxygen
yeah, when
chamber?
he was like, I definitely got like a Deadpool,
I didn't think
like
about
pushing the body to the limit and like basically killing it and bringing it back. I was like, oh, it's kind of like Deadpool.
that. So Vicky says Sydney did bring that guy back partially, second and a half chance. So I wonder with that though, if it means it's going to fail. Like, what if he doesn't stay alive?
He's like,
What if it was like, no, not zombie, just like what if he goes back to normal death?
So this is basically a zombie book, Talia.
No, it's not. It is not a zombie book. I think, okay, sorry, Melissa said this, and a bunch of people said this earlier in the group, that they're getting Flatliners vibe. I need y'all to talk me through that, because I'm missing this
So
reference.
Flatliners
Is this a movie?
Yeah, I don't
It's a
know.
movie.
Okay.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah,
Okay.
Late age of
Okay.
it's a movie where people play around with, near-death experiences. They're
Because
like,
they want to see what's on the
yeah.
other side.
Ew.
yeah, they want
Why?
to see what's
This
on.
is not
and
a
then
fun game.
Well, that kind of so
But
Will.
it's also like a group of students like that are like experimenting because of that too.
Oh. Oh.
Did we talk about Will's comment? Yeah, so Will says, can we talk about how Sydney, Serena, and Eli all died due to ice and drowning, but they all developed different abilities? So, yes, Talia has an answer or a question.
So it's not how they died. I think it's brought up, it's mentioned in the book, it's what your final thoughts are combined with your adrenaline. Like Sydney's final thoughts where she was telling Serena, like, come back,
yeah.
come back, come back. that's what she wanted. Victor's final thoughts were he just wanted the pain to stop. So I don't think it's necessarily the method in which you die, but what your final thoughts are in that last moment of your life.
Eli was like, Jesus,
So
Jesus.
speaking of that, someone had asked what we thought our final, what
What would our EO?
what would our EO ability be? Which is super dark if you think about it, because then you have to imagine, like, if I were dying, what would my final thought be? And I thought about it today,
Okay,
and then it gave
whoops.
me the creeps.
Mine
you come
was,
up with
I
one?
never
Also made me
became a
sad.
Ghostbuster. So that worked out for me.
Nice.
So you would be,
A Ghostbuster.
okay, but
a normal
Ghostbusters are
person.
human, so you would just be a normal human who had a really fancy working proton pack.
Yep.
You're close. You're close.
I mean,
That's all I need. Superheroes.
so mine's,
So yeah, what's yours?
I think, and I'm not just saying this because we've been watching a lot of Steven Universe lately, I think in my final moments, I would be worried about who would take care of my children. So I think mine would be a shield. I would want,
Shield powers?
yeah, like Steven Universe, some sort of not necessarily a bubble.
Like Bella and
but
Twilight?
no, you
Dan-
Jared, you
Dan's
ruined
good.
it. Yes,
Dan's got a
kind of
good
like
idea.
that.
Oh, she's Bella and Twilight.
So Dan Lafferty says, I want teleportation,
Ooh, cool.
which would be fantastic.
So
Christy,
then, what
what-
would your final thought be in your last moment? Is
Gosh,
you're
I wish
like,
I
I'm
was
gonna get out of here.
Somewhere else. Yeah.
Pretty much.
I don't want to be in here.
Christy?
Oh, Brandon Schwartz says laser eyes.
Yeah, that's a good
Laser
one.
eyes.
Yeah,
What
but
would your
Cyclops.
final thought be?
I need to
It's too
cut
dark in here.
through that.
I wish Cyclops didn't die in X-Men.
Stop. Okay. What's yours?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm liking these answers though. Keep them
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Christy,
A
do you have
normal
some, like-
human
you
who
had some
can
talking
summon
points,
Bill
right?
Murray on command.
Good job, Ian.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
I
To be
don't.
fair, he's a hard man to get a hold of. I've heard.
I've heard stories.
Yeah, but this
of-
would solve that problem.
Ian would be high in demand.
He even put a laughing, crying
Yeah,
emoji.
Bill Murray is here.
So talking
Carrie,
about
Carrie says protective powers for her kids
Yeah.
too.
some of the characters, can we talk about Angie for a minute?
Christy's about to go off.
I
Oh, go off.
have a
it.
huge
Do
problem
Do we have a
with
graphic for that?
Angie.
Like a Christy go off graphic?
Okay, so look, when we're first introduced, well, not when we're first introduced, when Victor's first introduced to Angie, she comes into the cafeteria, he's sitting down at lunch, she looks around the room, locks eyes with him, smiles, walks over to his table, sits down, and then they eat in silence for an hour. They do not exchange words. Like, what is wrong with Angie? And then she's... Sorry.
Don't you go dying on me.
And then Victor asks her
I'm
to,
gonna
like,
be a shield.
kill him, and she's like, that sounds like a great idea. I'm gonna put all of my energy into this and ruthlessly kill you.
Well, she
without
protested. The thing
hesitation."
is, she protested at first. She was like, "I don't think I can do this," and he was like, "Do it." She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna turn it up all the way now."
Exactly. It's
Okay.
crazy.
And Melissa says Angie has no depth. There, I said
Yeah.
it.
I
that's-
agree with it, and that's why she died early, because she was honestly necessary just to move the plot forward. She wasn't a real person.
No.
She wasn't a real person.
Angie pisses me off so bad. No, listen. Wait.
Oh, she's got
Address
notes.
your
I have
notes.
She's got notes.
Samantha says she was a blip on this universe's radar. Yep. Yeah.
To me, that was
she
like
was
Marco.
unessential.
First of all, I thought Angie was gonna be a huge part of the story, like before she died. And I was expecting it to have a lot to do with everything, and it kind of did, but in a way that was so frustrating to me. Because why didn't Victor try to help Angie? He could have.
he was scared too. He
Oh,
just like
he was not scared. You can't use that word.
he just like Zappy killed her. He didn't know if he was gonna Zappy help or Zappy kill her more.
Nope, that is not why.
Victor felt no remorse.
He didn't try. He knew he should or should want to, but the last thing he needed was more evidence of himself at the crime scene. That's why he didn't try to revive Angie. But like, the whole book is like depends on Angie dying and like Eli's reaction to it. And I think Angie dying and him not trying to resuscitate her makes no sense at all.
Carrie says her death made me finally interested in the story. I love how completely uncaring either guys were about her death. Okay, I have a point about that. Also, Kristen Hooper says Angie is a tool, literally.
Yeah.
She's just a
She's
vehicle
with
for
you,
the
Nice,
story.
Kristen.
But I think she's a weak vehicle for the story.
I do too, but here's to my point. When it came to the guys not caring about her, like they're both loving her and then not caring about her, just to be devil's advocate, there is mention that when they come back,
a
that
piece
they
is
lose a
missing.
piece of themselves.
Well, and
So,
what
like,
was that-
because they turn from college students who are best friends, albeit competitive best friends, to all of a sudden being totally willing and able to stab one another like a whole bunch and
Yeah.
just be like, this is who I am
Well-
now. Like, maybe Angie was an EO, says Nicole. Both
Boom.
men loved her, and she seemed to be the first thing to come between Victor and Eli.
That's interesting.
deep cut.
Yeah.
So I got a weird like Batman and Robin, the movie vibe from that whole situation, and maybe
Like
she
the
is
George
real,
Clooney?
but like George Clooney
that
and
one.
Chris O'Donnell with Poison Ivy and Poison Ivy. They're like, I loved her first, and like that. That's what I got from that, and that movie is horrible, by the way. As a side note to how I feel about that.
Victoria says, right after Angie's death is when I had definite feelings about Victor being a sociopath.
So actually, let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Scalisi said in the comments he wanted to talk about sociopaths versus psychopaths in this book. And first of all, I would love for someone to define those two things because
Yes, how
Very-
would you define that?
Yes, explain to me what you mean when you say that.
Special
I
guest
know,
Matt
but-
Scalisi, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, my impression from reading.
Come over here. Come over here.
Come
Yeah.
talk
Come
into
over
the
here.
microphone.
Okay.
Here it comes, Matt Scalisi, everybody,
Special guest.
to define psychological terms.
So I could be wrong about this because I am not a doctor, but my impression is they're both antisocial
Yeah.
personality disorders. They're both basically have trouble relating to other people, but I think a psychopath I believe the idea is it's more of a born-in condition, and that they're not really capable of empathy for other people, whereas sociopaths definitely use other people as kind of tools to achieve their ends, but they're at least capable of empathy and treating other people kindly. They're not like willfully cruel, I guess.
Is that right?
That sounds.
According to the internet, it says
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt Scalisi, everybody.
sorry, I didn't mean to throw you into that.
so all psychopaths are sociopaths, but
Oh.
sociopaths are not necessarily psychopaths. This is according to the Society for the Study of Psychopathy.
Psychology.
No, that's not what it says. Psychopath traits include lack of guilt and remorse. Hey, I just realized we have a doctor here.
Oh, nope, he shook his head.
I work with
Abort,
kids.
abort.
Hey,
Sociopath
kids are capable
kids.
of
He's a
being psychopaths
pediatrician.
too. Don't be ageist.
Well,
I think people, I think people psychopaths, but like not yet sociopath.
I
See,
think
so there's a difference. You know what the difference is.
According to the definitions you just gave.
Oh, okay, well.
I think Victor is already, like before the EO experience, he already had all of these issues because he was already mimicking Eli. It said at one point, oh yeah,
Yes, it's perfect. Keep talking.
Trish Brandon says, sociopath is trying to fit into society. Vic says he mimics trying to fit in with people. Yeah, there were a couple of instances of that. He was hoping that Eli wouldn't notice that he was mimicking him. Like, Victor is messed up.
But I still kind of dig him.
So
I
no,
do.
yeah. Can we talk?
I do.
Like, there's several times she references like this shadow going across
Of
their-
Eli?
there a couple of different faces. Though.
Oh,
like-
really?
yeah, I think I could be totally
Yeah.
wrong.
I feel like
Am I right?
Yeah.
Eli
Yeah.
is a psychopath and Victor is a sociopath.
Well, Eli had like something within him that like would show every once in a while that Victor was really drawn to.
Right.
and he kept it buried and locked inside, and then it came out and he started shooting everybody because he's bananas.
Yeah.
I don't like him.
And Matt Scalisi says, I actually think Victor has taught himself skills to try to fit in. And I completely agree. I think he definitely has.
I also love that it really bugs him that his name is not Eli ever.
Yeah.
That actually makes me think of Deadpool with Ajax.
Uh-huh. Oh, and
is her
oh, what's
name?
his name?
Oh, it's like a
Francis.
Francis. That's what it made me think of.
Do you know my friend Francis?
My name doesn't fit in with my persona. I'm going to change it. What's his real name? Like Clairedale or something? Does anyone remember? It's
Eli-
something like that. Whatever. That's
yeah.
not the point. The point is that is very much a sociopathic tendency that made me giggle.
So I think what we're getting out of this is they're both not right.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
They
And
both have
and
that
and I think-
antisocial.
And I think that's what we're like. A lot of people are struggling, and I see this in a lot of the comments, is that like I have a hard time figuring out who's the good guy, who's the bad guys, because they're all just terrible people.
There's not a good guy. You have to decide.
We're picking the
Do
lesser
you
of
like
two
the
evils.
sociopath or do
basically.
you like the psychopath? Like, and then you have to deal with your own moral ambiguity from your choice, which is why I feel like some people might not like this book. It's not cut and dry of like which side are you on.
Has anyone?
Where are you laughing
says.
at?
Will says, has anyone tried to taking a Sharpie to a book yet?
Get out.
See, that
No,
in
but-
itself is like psychopathic behavior,
That
I
is.
think.
But Talia did make a good post the other day, but
Okay,
she did not
to
mark
be
out
fair,
anything.
that was not in a book. If y'all
No,
saw it
no,
on
it
Instagram,
was
Facebook,
totally-
whatever, I typed up a bunch of nonsense words and put the keywords in there and then just printed it out on a nice single sheet of paper and then marked it out with a marker.
She did.
I don't
Really
think you
It was
have
very
to
clever.
magic.
justify yourself there.
I feel like it's important for people to know
Yeah.
that I did not color
It's a little
in
peek
book.
behind the scenes there.
So the poll, I'm going to go ahead and publish
the
the
poll.
poll results.
Yeah.
Oh yay!
Is
I
Sydney
forgot we had a
dead?
poll.
We never got the poll.
Oh.
So 75% said, no, she's just extraordinary. 25% said, yeah, she did. So
Wait, what was the poll question?
I know, I forgot.
is Sydney dead?
Is she a zombie?
Is Sydney
No,
dead?
she's not a zombie.
She's
75%
she's
of
not.
the
She's
people
not dead,
say that she is not dead. So
I'm gonna have to disagree.
we'll
Ooh,
agree to
Christy's-
disagree on
Christy's
that
in
one.
the
I
dead
think
camp.
it's a physical geez Louise, it's a physical manifestation of her power. Just like Victor can zappy people, she is cold.
Well, then why aren't Eli and Serena
And
cold?
he doesn't age. Because her whole thing has to do with the slowing. Just stop it. Let me have this one thing. Matt, leave.
Matt says
Zombie. Oh, I get it.
Sydney
Uh-huh.
is
Boo.
a zombie with
No.
EO in there.
She's not. If she is, I'm going to sit in that chair for the next discussion.
Vicky says that you're a zombie and you're sensitive about it.
Okay, all jokes aside, I don't know why. It's one thing. Lucas knows. I cannot physically watch anything that has to do with zombies. It will make me gag.
Okay, moving on.
Cannot.
What else we got?
And that's not true because my fingernails grow a lot and they haven't stopped yet.
Well, one of the big complaints with the night circus was that there were so many timelines. There are a lot of timelines in this book too.
But I thought, here's my take on that, is the timelines in the Night Circus, I struggle with the era anyway, like the Victorian stuff, just because I can't associate with it, I think. As soon as I saw Sharpie and like computer, I was like, oh, cool, I can get this. But I
Jay.
think
Thanks for being away.
zombies do have rights, Jay. I think it was easier for me because it was really just going between like present day and either back a day or just like a zap back to college and then right back. It wasn't
the description.
and the description definitely
description
helped.
because yes, there were multiple timelines, but for me personally, it was so much easier because instead of giving a date that you had to memorize and flip back and forth
Yeah.
to compare the dates, it just told you it was either a really long time ago, kind of a long time ago, yesterday, or now.
We got to think, every book that we've read in this club so far, all 4 books have had big jumps like this.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
We're
so,
probably
I mean,
gonna break that streak next month.
Ooh, next month.
Did Wool?
We're not talking
Wool
about it
did,
yet.
yeah, because Wool
Wool
went
does.
between,
Lappy,
uh,
lap-
yeah.
But those weren't
I
time
can't think.
jumps.
Cynthia says, I feel like the timelines in this book were much easier to follow than Night Circus.
Here.
I agree. And the author clearly spelled out which time period the characters were in, so it was all good. Yes.
Yeah,
I feel like
agree.
the description made a huge difference. You weren't trying to memorize the exact point in time where they were.
Well, and I think jumping, it's one thing to jump, back and then to another place and another place, like Schwab, E.V. Schwab,
Schwab, just say Schwab.
V.E., sorry. It was just jumping back and forth between 2 different timelines for the most part, and so I think that was a lot easier. Plus, there weren't as many characters, so, I mean, when you boil it down, we've only really got 5 or 6
Yeah.
core characters in this, where the Night Circus was trying to introduce a whole lot of different stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, Brandon says, gotta get back to work. Love y'all. Kisses. Make sure people stay alive.
I don't know if anyone here has seen The Boys, but one of the things me and Adam talked about a lot was like the similarities and like how much this book reminded me of The Boys, or reminded us of The Boys.
Because that's the villain, or like the
It's
heroes or
superheroes
the.
that are owned by corporations.
Oh, so it's kind of like
So there's a lot of moral
Mystery
ambiguity.
Men?
Yeah.
Super Costco. I don't know. I haven't seen the show. I'm just.
remember Mystery Men, like Greg Kinnear plays the guy and he's got
yes.
like Pepsi on him and stuff.
It's
like
not
a
really like Mystery Men.
I haven't
Anyway,
We're
like,
talking about Greg Kinnear from Mystery Men, how he's been
sponsored.
purchased.
oh yeah, that much is true.
But there's some really interesting similarities, I thought, just with like people with extraordinary powers that aren't necessarily good or bad. And there's just a lot of, I don't know, it's really interesting. Y'all should go see The Boys. It's great. It's on Amazon Prime.
So Giggles Vids on YouTube makes an interesting point. She says, I think it's interesting how Eli and Victor had all of these personality and moral issues even before becoming EOs, and now they've got to navigate those things while being powered up. So that's true. These are not like two like random college buddies. These are men, young men that have been described as being extremely charismatic. We know that they're both extremely intelligent. They're in a very prestigious program, obviously being sought after by these other high-end institutions. So these are these characters that already have a lot of power before they have like an actual superpower.
Yeah, I mean
And
they're
both
not
really
bottom.
dark.
Yeah, they're not bottom feeders in society. I mean, these obviously Victor's parents are extremely well-to-do. They're both at, what I'm
Writers,
guessing is like an
authors,
Ivy
someone.
League, institution. So
And we haven't really learned that much about Eli's parents except that his father was a priest. And
Did
that
he
used
kill
to
his dad?
beat him. Oh yeah, I thought about that too.
because
What
he
happened
said
to his
was,
dad?
and it kind of glanced over it, but I was like, this
If
dude
you're whispering
killed
a
his
spoiler.
dad.
No.
Okay.
I said, or did his dad kill himself?
I'm guessing that he killed his dad.
Well, we've established that they're both sociopaths and psychopaths, so anything's possible. They've done an inordinate amount of killing already, and we're only halfway through the book.
Rachel
So-
says, can we please talk about how I busted out laughing and started clapping with the X-Men reference that I believe Sydney makes? Yes, I appreciated that too.
Wait, what reference?
I missed. Yeah, what
She made a reference at one point, and I don't remember where it was in the book, but she actually brings, it's like, so if you die, you come back as an X-Men? Like, is that what you think would happen? Was it her or was it Angie?
It was Angie.
It was Angie, yeah, I think it was Angie that made that point.
I saw that.
What is happening? Quit giggling. Pay attention.
So Vicky says she got the vibe that Eli killed his dad, if not the whole family.
Yeah, because I don't mention anybody else in his family.
Well, and that was the first time Victor had even heard of Eli's family, like
Right.
anyone in his family.
So maybe
Sorry.
he collected the insurance money.
I don't know. I feel like if he had killed his whole family, people would have been a little suspicious of him, and maybe he wouldn't be.
So we're talking about, just to kind of spark some conversation, we're talking about like the issues that we had with it, or like questions that we have. But I would like to hear, because we've had a lot of people in the group who actually really love this book. Like they're like really into it. And I would like to hear from them, to like hear about like, what is it about this book that you love so much? Because that's interesting to me, and I want to love this book more. So give me some insight. So chime in the comments if you really love the book.
That's the thing. I'm enjoying it, and I like following Victor's story. He's not relatable at all, but
So Jay asked EO police, where the heck did they come from?
yeah, what is that?
And David
about?
asked, where did they go? Which I think are both really good questions.
I don't know.
Well, and
When-
EOs aren't such a popular thing that like it made sense for Eli to like do his thesis on them.
it, yeah.
So it's not like confirmed really, which I mean I guess there should be a department that knows more about it, but
it's like
made me think
us
of like all
talking
the
about
Area
UFOs.
51 stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all the because that event's coming up, by the way.
Oh yeah, when is that? When are we going?
Latin, we're not talking about it. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so why?
Dan Lafferty says, yeah, that EO police scene was random and weird, and they never came back to it. And
Maybe they will.
Yet.
well, also, like, did they just drop Victor off at the police station and then like leave? Where are they? Why aren't they like testing him or
He
guarding
isn't-
him?
Oh wait.
He was when he broke out.
Then why did they bag his head if they just took him
That's
to a normal police
Great
station?
question. Yeah,
Yeah. So Will
Because
says
they were worried he could shoot things out of his eyeballs.
maybe. Yeah.
Scott says the EO police is the X-Files.
yes, and Will said he loves how quick it is, and I would agree. And I think that's probably honestly one of the reasons that I am enjoying it is just because I feel like I'm actually getting through it and it's moving quickly. There, when I look back and like talking to everybody and seeing the comments, I'm like, oh yeah, oh I guess that's pretty shallow too. But
No fluff. All
but
plot.
yeah, so I mean, like I didn't even really think about the EO police because she almost doesn't give you time to think about anything
Yeah.
because she's already on to the next thing. But at the same time, it's kind of a nice change.
Yeah. Well, and we might get the EO police back. I mean, we still have a whole half of a book, and I guess technically a second one. I feel like they have to become a bigger part of the story, especially now that Victor has escaped from prison. Renee Butler asked, didn't Eli kill the cop? And I know Victor might have killed a cop when he was getting out of the cell, and he, like,
I thought he
hurt
said he
his
didn't have
cellmate.
to. I think he just like knocked.
He was a little worried
Okay.
about his cellmate.
Yeah.
He was still free.
So I don't think any cops have died in the first half of the book.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, Trish says, stop asking questions that are answered in the second half.
Sorry.
Thank you,
I'm
Trish.
sorry.
Thank you,
But
Trish.
to be fair, we don't know that, and as long as we don't spoil it, it's
Well,
fine.
and I'm great. I'm really happy that those questions are going to be answered in the second half because I want to know.
Sorry, we're trying to read and catch with all of your comments. Y'all are saying some super great stuff. Except for
And let us know. Do y'all
BJ.
like having the comments
making
on the
jokes.
bottom? I know it's helpful for us just because we're all trying to stay with it. But
Oh,
you can look at the
Kimberly
screen.
Cornelison asks, and how are the normal police not searching for Victor if he escaped? And Mitch, yeah, they really should be. But it's only been 2 days, and they obviously stole a car, so maybe they're going to come into the story
and
too.
they know what they're doing. They said like they knew the rules. They weren't going on the highway. Like they were very particular about the car that they stole. Like they're being careful. It's not like they just like busted out and we're like, woohoo, we're free. So I mean, they're not trying to get caught again.
Victoria Simpson said she wanted to talk about the religious aspect, Eli's relationship with God and Victor's lack thereof, and how that influences each character's decision. Eli thinks he is doing divine work in a way, even though he and Victor played God in their experiments.
Talk about being hypocritical.
Well, I find it really interesting that Eli thinks that his power is totally fine since he can't control it
Oh,
and it
yeah.
can't hurt people.
That's when I really
How convenient.
Yeah.
I really started to, because I think a couple people had said too, it's like, okay, you really didn't like Victor at first, but then, once Sydney gets introduced and you start to see this kind of religious fanaticism of Eli, then it's a lot easier to start to side with the lesser of two evils. But yeah, I mean, he's obviously cuckoo.
Yeah.
So Lisa Travis says, that's why I think Victor leans more towards good guy. His goal is to get Eli, not to kill a bunch of people. I think if nothing else, that makes him more like, I don't want to say relatable because he's a psychopath, but relatable because
Like an
he's
anti-hero.
out just for vengeance. Second book.
Well, and Lillian Perez says it would make sense that Eli killed his family since he is self-righteous and wants to be godlike, eliminating whoever he wants to because he says so. Sorry, not completely related, but
Also keep in mind that we never really get Eli's perspective.
it's true.
We're mostly through the eyes of either Victor or Sydney, and Victor, at least, is to me a very unreliable narrator. I mean, it's not from his, we're in his head more,
Yeah.
And so we get things from his perspective and how he sees things, and like his interpretation of what Eli is doing or attempting to do. We can't we can look at Eli and say, yeah, he's doing terrible things. He shot a girl and now becoming self-righteous and all that. But Victor is not. None of these people are good people.
Yeah.
Oh wait, go back to the previous
and I think
one.
we have a tendency to
Was this one?
we have a tendency to want to relate more to Victor because we're getting we want him to be the good guy, or I want you to be the good guy because I'm in your head, and
Yeah.
I need some justification for your actions. But that's where we struggle as readers with our own morality. And it's well, I guess we'll side with him because we know more about what he's thinking.
Well, there
but-
must be a reason we're in his head.
yeah.
There's a reason is being told from his side of the story. Also, Rachel says that she loved Victor's line to Eli when he's in the bathtub and says, "You didn't put your life in his hands, you put them in mine." I thought that was a great line too. Also, really enjoyed Victor Vale as not a sharpied sidekick.
Is Sydney dead?
What?
I just got the poll. Way to go, Facebook.
Yay!
Yay!
So Facebook, you're doing good things.
Good job, Facebook.
Sorry, YouTube, we can't put polls on YouTube. It's not. It's just not
But
a
thank
thing.
you for joining us, YouTubers.
Yay!
Will Lindsay says, actually, that's another thing I love about this book. I enjoy getting inside of someone's head and seeing thought processes. And that has been interesting, getting Victor's thought process, because he's such a different
It's
person.
a complex character.
Yeah. But also, he's kind of dumb a little bit.
Continue.
Well,
Continue,
okay.
carry on.
I actually wrote this down because it made me mad. But he says the absence of pain led to an absence of fear, and the absence of fear led to a disregard for consequence. So he could track his thoughts better now, marveled at the way they circled around to solutions that bypassed caution and favored the immediate, the violent, the rash. Victor's mind had always been drawn to those solutions, but he had been impeded by an understanding of right and wrong, or at least what he knew others saw as right and wrong. So, like we kind of addressed earlier, Victor has learned how to behave, even though it's not natural to him. I don't understand why having a near-death experience and being able to control his pain changes any of that. In fact, he should have an advantage for being able to blend in, because he's already learned all of that. And that was part of when, I guess right after when he killed Angie, and he was explaining why he was doing the thing with the cops. He decided he was going to break out of jail instead of wait one day to figure out how it was going to go. And I feel like he just
That decision
used
did bug me.
all of that as a reason to make really bad decisions, but he has the background to not make those. Even if he came back with a piece missing, it doesn't make sense to me.
I think that piece was
Logic?
I was gonna say common sense, but I feel like those go hand in hand. He just doesn't care
Yeah.
anymore.
That's all good.
Let's talk about Eli. I think it was Trish that mentioned that Eli is a manipulator. He's manipulating Victor, which is kind of a sociopathic thing, right?
Well, remember, psychopaths are sociopaths, but
Yeah,
sociopaths
okay.
don't have to be psychopaths.
But he manipulates Victor into getting what he wants. They do the thing on Eli and it works, and then Victor's like, me now, and he's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and Victor's like, oh yeah, I'll show you. I'll go do some coke in the bathroom, and then like a smart guy. But what's interesting to me about Eli being a master manipulator is that now he's paired up with Serena, whose literal power is to manipulate people.
Yeah.
And I just think that's fascinating. And Serena reminds me of that character from the Umbrella Academy. Has anybody watched the Umbrella Academy? The one who's like, I heard a rumor that, and then they make you believe things, which is just an aside, but it's interesting. But yeah, just wanted to mention that about manipulations.
Yeah.
I saw that as soon as he got his ability, that he didn't want anybody else to have it. He immediately pulled back on Victor
Yeah.
having it as well.
Or having
What?
any kind of power.
Vicky said, don't do drugs, kids.
Yes, that's the moral of this book.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs. Even Eli came in and was like, what are you doing? Don't do drugs. I'm going to wipe the cocaine off the table with my
Smear
arm.
it all over. Just
And,
that helps.
Yeah. And then now Now go go kill my girlfriend.
So Melissa Green says, well, if he didn't have his own moral compass and only relied on cues from others, pain may have been the only thing stopping his more rash actions. Which is fair. That's a really good point. Going
now,
back to Victor.
Now
Sorry.
pain
Yes.
is not an issue because now he can turn off his pain.
Yeah.
He can turn off other people's pain too, which is bizarre. Also makes me think of that character from The World Is Not Enough, the James Bond movie,
Oh yeah.
who got shot in the brain and like
And can't
wasn't
feel
able to
anything.
feel anything.
But
I think
also, that's also Francis.
that's who?
Francis
Oh,
from Deadpool can't feel
yeah.
anything either. Everything goes back to Deadpool. That's the theme for this one. Not Cyclops, only Deadpool.
Cyclops.
Justin says, do you think I'm Not Gone was reassuring to Sydney beyond its face value, i.e. Serena was manipulating her with that line?
Yes,
She does say
definitely.
that a lot.
Yeah. Even as she's leaving, she says it.
That's interesting. I didn't actually put that together, but like her saying "I'm not gone" like gave Sydney a sense of peace, and she's like she just kind of explained it away, and it's really funny how they like. I really appreciated how V.E. Schwab got us into Serena's power. Like, you know, we're not in her head, we're in Sydney's head, and she uses it on Sydney, and she's just like, yeah, she said this, and now I'm cool. And I was cool with it, and I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I get it. And then she would, like, as an aside, be like, somehow she convinced my parents to let her go to off abroad for whenever. And that I thought, like, so good job, V.E. Schwab, on describing Serena's power. I appreciated that, getting through that head. But that's
It was
interesting.
a nice way of letting us know, but other characters not being aware, of what she was doing.
Yeah, because it was still like when Serena was like, I have a special power too, and Sydney was like, what?
So so Barry, we didn't talk
Yeah.
about Barry much. We don't know what his power is,
Well,
right?
but he was going in and out, so I wonder if maybe it's like invisibility.
They said he has a weapon. He has a weapon that they can't find.
Oh, I don't remember that part.
Yeah, because
So because he was robbing the bank, so he's capable of discharging some sort of weapon from himself, because they keep talking about how people are getting shot, but they could never locate the
Oh,
weapon.
that's right. They couldn't locate the weapon, and so that's what made. Right,
That
right.
is very much an X-Men thing.
Well, Kristen Hooper says Vic's power stinks. I'd rather have any of the other powers. What do y'all think about everybody's powers?
Well, I definitely don't want to bring back dead people.
Well, but you're bringing them back to life when you're actually healing them, so you're bringing back like life.
You're not bringing them back as zombies. You're
You
just
could
bringing them
heal a
back as
dog.
people.
Okay,
No
but what if
zombies
you
involved.
accidentally
What about a
bring one
dog?
back and they're still in the box in the ground?
Well, then they'll turn
You
into
can save
people again.
dogs.
That's like she did.
Yeah, the dog thing, that was nice. That
That was
nice.
really
That was
nice.
a good
was
thing.
a nice thing.
Yeah,
kept the
except she
dog.
was like, kill the dog.
She
they put it
got
on
pretty hardcore. She was like, shoot the dog, and it's like,
Shoot the
Victor,
dog,
put
Victor.
his silencer on.
So I actually
tap the
think that,
dog in
like,
the head.
And as an opposite of like that comment that said like Victor's power is, I'd rather have anybody else's power. It's, for me, Victor's power is like the only one really that I've never seen before in some form of any other medium. Like, you know, bringing people back to life is somewhere in there. You know, healing, self-healing and all that stuff is in there. Like manipulation via like words is in there, but like being able to just like turn on and off people's pain, and also somehow like what is Victor's like external power?
Well,
like
yeah, it's
like
also
the
like
electricity.
based.
What
he
is
can
that?
make the air hum.
He's like the emperor.
She has two.
It's like,
She has like two powers, so I don't mind.
but then he can sense. He can. I guess he's like picking up on other people's like current or something, because he can sense
he
in the
can
air
tell when
like
other people. That's
like
a good
who
point.
is.
So it's not a cut and dry like one single power. He has. So that makes me wonder: does Eli have other abilities that we don't know about?
So
It's possible.
and did Victor get powers from the first time, and then like or not?
No.
So
I don't
his
think
overdose
so.
didn't work at all, and so okay.
So on YouTube, Gigglevid says, I love the mic drop line of she had always been on the short side, but it certainly didn't help that she had barely grown an inch since the day she died.
Yeah.
Talking about Sydney. Kind of
Informative.
evidence that she is definitely dead.
They all died, Christy.
Oh man,
She's still dead.
we could have a whole live discussion beating
No.
this dead horse.
They all died. They could have just said Victor. Like everything felt zappy and different since he died.
Well, and Gigglevid also says he forgot about the dog. That was so sweet. I love when they get to keep the animal. The fact that she got to like bring him home was, I thought, a really, really good touch.
Oh, I would have thrown a temper tantrum if she didn't get to keep the dog. That's always the best part of the book.
So does the bullet like come out of the dog's head? How does this work?
Well, Sydney
it
heals
like-
It's gone. No, it's gone. Remember, because the lady in the morgue that she brought back to life, they had already removed all of her organs.
Oh,
and she,
that's
like, grew them
right.
all
That's
back.
right. Oh, that's
Yeah.
creepy.
So the bullet just.
And like, yeah, what happens with that person? Like, I guess they just considered it a miraculous.
What happened with her organs?
She stabbed her to death and killed her
God,
back
that's
in
right.
the morgue. So yeah, what did they think happened there? Because that is crazy. like all of her organs are back, and she's been like stabbed to death
She grew-
after an autopsy.
Yeah,
Police,
there's-
do your
some
job.
We
people
feel
at
like
the
a short
hospital.
story
That's
of the
weird.
guy who, like the coroner or whatever, who's just like, oh, wait, what?
Well, no, but I feel like, you know, we were talking earlier about this being from Victor's perspective. It's kind of like Ender's Game and the Bean Saga, and when you read the Bean Saga, you get some of the backstory of what happened in Ender's Game. It would be cool to see the converse of seeing this from Eli's perspective or the coroner.
Yeah, definitely the coroner.
She grew her organs back, and then they exploded. Blark. Morgue. Oops. Yes, a paperwork error, Jay says.
Vicky Pack says spare organs.
Yes. She could
Yes.
have been an organ donor.
She
if,
saves
you
that
know,
many more
She
Sydney
wasn't
had-
an organ donor.
Well, maybe Sydney missed all of the important things that she could donate.
Ugh. Ew. Well, this took a gory turn.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to be talking about zombies all night.
No.
It's like almost like we're talking about October
Don
already.
Mitchell, hold on, this font is
This
small.
is a tiny font one.
Okay, Don Mitchell says, I want you guys to know that even though the book is not catching my attention, maybe it will in the second half, I am enjoying being a part of this group. I will continue to read this book and continue to join in the conversation. Oh, John. I think you guys are doing a great thing with this group, and I'm really happy to be here. Don, thank you so much. That actually
You're a rock
raises
star.
a really great point that I wanted to make, because I know a lot of people have posted in the group, not just this month about Vicious, but over the past couple of months about whether or not you're connecting to the story that we're reading. And honestly, our favorite part is the difference of opinions, because this discussion would be super boring if we all felt exactly the same way about all of the material. But I think it's also important that, yeah, not everyone's going to like everything, but we still are happy that you're here. And we don't always like the book, like Lucas so far, all the time. But, but that's what makes the discussion interesting. And to me, the point of this group is not just to find a bunch of books that we love, but just to keep searching, to keep reading, to keep learning, because that's all reading is.
And to have people to talk
Yeah.
about everything
Yes,
with.
just to build this awesome community where we can share all of these things together kindly, even with a difference of opinion. And that's kind of a rare thing to find these days. So I'm incredibly grateful that y'all have helped us build a community where we can do that. Lillian says, love my new literary family.
Yay.
We love y'all, and we couldn't do this without you.
No.
I mean, otherwise it would just be the four of us in my basement talking to each other.
So do we have any wrap up thoughts on Vicious before we announce what we're doing next month?
Oh, next month.
I'm
just saying.
Wrap up.
I'm looking forward to it. I feel like I'm a just fantastic reader because it does move so fast. But I know, and but I will say to tack on a tally, like I wouldn't be reading any of these books if it weren't for this group and y'all. So yeah, but no, I'm part 2, Vicious. Game on. Like I think it's gonna go quickly, and then
Oh yeah.
I'm very interested to see where she takes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to know.
Yeah, and despite all of my complaining, I'm actually really into this book, and I'm really loving it, and I can't wait to see where the rest of it goes.
Yeah, I'm
I just
the
have
same.
opinions.
I had some issues with the first half, going too fast. I felt it was a little light on substance in places, but actually having this conversation like really made me more excited to read the second half. So thanks for talking me through it. That was nice. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the second half of the book, and I think we'll learn a lot. I think
Trish is like, oh,
I'm really like, this is an interesting experience. I will say, because I don't love this book, I didn't immediately be like, oh my gosh, I love this. Yes, I bought the next book anyways, just because the curiosity gets the better of me and I need to know. But I'm still really enjoying it. Like, I'm invested in the story and finding out what happens, while also acknowledging that for me, this is kind of a junk food book. That being said, really quick before I forget, if you are new to the group, like we met you in Atlanta during Dragon Con,
Welcome.
thank you so much for being here. All of the places you can find us are as follows: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and we have a Facebook group called the Literarily Wasted Lounge, which is where we talk about all of the things, all of the time, not just twice a month. Also, next month is October, and if you saw the poll, then I'm sure you know that the book that won is We Have Always Lived in the Castle. And now some of you commented on how this is a small book. It is. In comparison to all of the things that we have been reading thus far. So we have an extra special surprise for you that we will announce on Friday.
In our video.
Yes, so look for the video on Friday about the October book announcement and find out what we're doing next month.
It's going to be different. It's going to be fun. It's going to be spooky. Right?
I'm out of things to say. Do y'all have anything?
Nope.
Thanks for being here. Love you guys.
Y'all are the best. We'll
Oh,
see you in 2 weeks,
also-
right?
Just kidding.
What?
I was gonna. I forgot about the giveaway, but that's not this one, anyways.
Oh no, that's next week. Yes, so remember, tune in for the final discussion, which is 2 weeks from today, where we will discuss the second half of Vicious and the book as a whole. And if you participate in that live stream, you will have a chance to win our big giveaway for the month of October. And we picked all the stuff out tonight, and
It's good.
super cool.
Y'all did a good job.
I kind of want to keep it, but I won't. But it's really cool. So thank you. And go finish reading the book now. Don't post spoilers. Don't post. Oh my gosh, I'm done. Okay, bye.
Bye.